Garden tips from a green witch. Let's talk onions. Onions are definitely one of those vegetables that is hit or miss. Let's go over a few simple facts about growing onions that you may not be aware of that's going to help you get a better yield. The first and most important thing about onions is they do not like competition of any kind. So whether you're growing them in rows in the ground or in a raised bed like me, make sure that you are weeding very well and do not plant any other vegetables near them. The second fact about onions is almost as equally important as the first, and that is they are extremely heavy feeders. Make sure that you have a very, very well composted garden bed or you're feeding them on a regular basis. The third fact about onions is that the bulb part of the plant, that's the base of the onion where it actually starts to swell, needs to be exposed or in extremely loose soil to actually start bulbing up. They don't like resistance of any kind, so if they're in hard compacted soil or planted fairly deeply, you may have to come back through and move that soil away until you're exposing almost the roots of the plant. Don't pull them up. As long as the roots stay in contact with the soil, the plant might fall over a little bit, but it will stand itself back upright, and that's going to allow your bulbs to start to swell. As an onion grower, it's extremely important to know whether or not your onions are in their first or second year. Onions are a biannual plant. That means they grow from seed the first year, they get to a nice big plant, and then if left alone, they will die off in the winter and come back next spring to make another plant before they put off their seed again. It's important to know if the onions you're growing are in their first or their second year because it's going to affect the size of the bulb as well as when you harvest them and whether or not they're going to store. The blossom does not mean that the plant is no longer usable. The onion is still perfectly edible and delicious. The blossom stalk does go all the way through the onion. So that particular onion is going to be one that you're going to want to use right away and not be able to store it. Otherwise, it'll just rot from the inside out. So make sure that you're growing your onions by themselves, feeding them regularly, and removing any compacted soil away from the base so that the bulbs can swell naturally on their own. And get some onions in your garden.